Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Mailbag, and apparently this is everyone's favorite. Who would know? Anyway, let's go check out what's just come in. By the time you guys see this was last week, but anyway, let's not split hairs. Let's go check it out. Right, so hello to all my New Zealand or Kiwi viewers. This one came from New Zealand. This was something that I ordered off of, well, we'll call it Facebook, but it was Aussie Wigglers, which is a great name for a group. So yeah, this is another Eurorack module. I do tend to have quite a lot of Eurorack modules on this segment because my Eurorack is growing. And yeah, I just kind of like the whole Eurorack thing. So anyway, I love how you guys watch me struggle opening boxes. Now this is also the first time I've ever seen this, so you're sharing that with me. That's the whole point of these. We can check out how people package things and get rid of that. Now I'm pretty sure this is, yes, this is it. Wow. This is a cool looking module. Right. So no original box in this one, unfortunately, but let's get rid of the knife so we don't cut ourselves. This is the ADDAC System's Intuitive Quantizer, or the ADDAC 207. Let's zoom in on this. So there's the ADDAC 207 Intuitive Quantizer. So the quantizer, what is it? Well, it's basically a control of note output. So basically it is tuned to produce proper registered notes that we hear on their proper frequencies. And the good thing about it is if you've got a sequencer that is just floating type note based, you can actually control it with one of these. And we will go check that out soon. Okay, so let's just have a quick look at what this is. It's actually 4 voices, 1, 2, 3, 4 of quantization with 10 octave range per section. It also has a keyboard mode, which you can see. This is kind of like the white keys and this is the black keys. So you would, you guys would see it like that. They can be used as trigger buttons, and it's also got user definable scales or bass notes, and you can do that with this knob up here. Pretty simple and intuitive menu. User definable notes, intervals for chord generation, quantized types, above, below, ignore, definable gate out length, and octave offsets. Basically, you can see in here, these are all menu items as well as actually the keyboard. So that's what they call their intuitive menu. You can set the key and all that sort of stuff. We will probably check out some of those features when I demo it. But this is just a quick overview. So basically, if you just do a simple VCO thing on here, what you would use is you would use this knob, and then you would use one of your quantized voices here. We will go into how that all works very, very soon. So you can actually use this to tune your VCOs. So you'd plug, depending on how many VCOs you've got, you can do up to 4 on this module. So you plug your VCO into the out port there, and that would go into your in on your VCO for your pitch control. And then basically to tune them, all you need to do is go into keyboard mode and you press button 1, which is here. You press it for a couple of seconds, lights will go on, and then at this point you can rotate the key octave knob to F5, and you press a C note on the keyboard, button 1, and this will generate a 4-volt output to all of these quantized ports. So if you've got more than one, it would do it all at the same time, and it relates to a C note. Once you've done that, you can tune them all to the same C note. So that way all your VCOs are all tuned to the same scale. I guess the next thing is we can go check this out in the Eurorack module, and we'll put it next to, I think what we'll do is we'll put it next to a sequencer. We'll use the sequencer to be quantized. I think that's probably what my general thing that I wanted to get this thing for. One thing I love about some Euroracks is they've keyed their cables, and they've also told me red stripe there. So the red stripe It's that one, and it's also keyed, so you can't plug this in incorrectly. That one's beautiful. Well done to ADDAC System. My first ADDAC System module. Let's have a little bit of a look at the quality. I always ramp on about 3.5mm sockets having nuts, and so that they're nice and secured onto the main panel. Now, one thing I also like about this, it's a nice thick metal front plate. It's not a plastic one or anything like that. And it's got a little bit of wear. This is used, of course. I do like this version. This is the black version. They also have a red version you've probably seen. I'll show a graphic now. So yeah, as I said, let's go chuck this in the module and stop talking about it. All right, so I thought before I get really stuck into this ADDAC module, I probably should check to see if it's secondhand. Who knows how old it is? I know there's a serial number because we looked at that before, but we probably should update the firmware on it. Now, to do this, you can actually buy these USB to serial adapters from ADDAC's website. They're pretty inexpensive. They come with cables and everything. This one I'm just doing from gear that I already had at home, so it's exactly the same. What these are is what they call FT232RL USB to serial adapter modules, and you can get these from just about anywhere, eBay, AliExpress, all those sort of places. Now, basically all you're going to need is a USB mini to USB cable, and we're going to need to plug that into, we're going to use a MacBook. Before we do though, I just thought I'd show you quickly, this is the wiring we're going to need to do on this thing. It's actually labeled on the actual PCB as well. I don't know if I can zoom in enough to show you, but as it to say, you can actually see there is some labels across here. Can you see that there? It says GND for ground, and right across the other side it actually says DTR, TX, and the next one says DRX. So it's all labeled here. Anyway, so these all need to be connected up correctly. All right, now I'm going to use color-coded wires, and what I'm going to do at the other end is I'm going to use these pins. These are standard sort of like Arduino type kit pins you can get, and we're going to use those to plug into the module. So we'll get to that later. It's a pretty inexpensive sort of little module to get. So we're going to just head on over to the Mac over here on the other side of the room, and this is a little PDF you can download on their website. It tells you to update the firmware on it. So I'm going to use the OS X. Now, I've never done this before, so this is going to be warts and all. So the first thing was we need to click on that to download the OS X firmware. We also need to go to this website to get the serial to USB adapter. So let's do that. Okay. And we're on a Mac. So God knows what we are, 64-bit probably. And I guess anything else there, I think this is what we need. So let's go with this one, 64-bit. It looks like it's the right thing. Let's go to our little folder here. FTDI USB serial driver. I'd say that's it. So let's install that. And of course we get two options. Which one do we go with? I'm going to go with this one. Okay, that's a good sign. I guess it's done. Okay, closing that. And then we also need to extract this out. All right, so there's the hex file for the firmware. So that's done. It's 164.9 megabytes. Okay, cool. Now the next thing we're going to have to do, make sure all the connections required like described in the previous pages. Keep your module off. Download the latest firmware app file and unzip it. Yes, we've done that. If you've ever used Arduino software before, please download it and install the appropriate driver. All right, so technically we can open this app. Okay, security message. You get these security messages, you just go into security and open anyway here. There we go. Okay, all right, that's fine. Okay, we haven't actually plugged anything in, so that's cool. Let's go back to here. All right, so I just read on a forum that you got to connect the TX to the RX and the RX to the TX. So let's see if this makes any difference at all. Now I don't want to take my finger off of this, but it's working beautifully. And all the lights were flashing as I did it. So that's done. I can't really show you from here, but the two middle wires, I've swapped them over. So the RX goes to TX and the TX goes to RX. That has updated the firmware. So now we know we're on the latest firmware. Good. Gonna check out the tuning. So to do that, we hold down button 1 here and let's just get rid of our modulation. And we set it to, so these are octave switches when you're in keyboard mode. So bottom octave, top octave. Okay. So it says in the manual that we need to set it to F5 and we need to put the VCO on the bottom range and we need to do a C note. Right, and we need to listen to that with another C note. Sounds pretty good to me. Right, so apparently that's tuned. Hold that down and it goes back into quantizer mode. Now, I'm going to be using this sequencer because the tuning of each step is it can be any voltage that controls pitch between the minimum and the maximum. So the whole point of this quantizer is to get a bit of control over what these could possibly be. So to give you an example, we'll just run it on one step and I'll launch the sequence so you can hear it. What we're going to do is we're just going to listen to this. Right, so this is not using the quantizer at all, and you can hear. You can hear the tuning can be anywhere, right? So let's put this back into the quantizer. Now the other thing we're going to have to do with this quantizer is we're going to have to set this trig mode, I think. There we go, it's working now. Alright, now if I start tuning this again, watch how it works. So it's in quantized notes. That's the whole purpose of this. And then we introduce the whole sequence. The delay. And we can put a drum beat to this. And we can add a modulation back in. So you can hear the DD500 digital delay from a big sky on a Schmuck set. Okay, so that's a real basic overview of what the quantizer can do. And the other thing too is you can set like scales and things like that. So to do that, you basically set your scale from this knob here, whether it's a root C, D up to G, or you set it to be a flat or a sharp and a major and a minor. So let's just do it to a D natural minor, and if we click set, you will see it blanks out notes. So now let's try our sequence. Right, let's try it as a an A. I'll try it as a G. Major. So there you go. That's what a quantizer does at its very, very basic level. And you can exit out of these just by adding the notes back in, and it's a full chromatic setup. You can set like a transpose, so you can transpose this note in. So let's try that out. I've got the MS 101 just next to us. Once again, we can set this to a D minor. And transpose it. Good fun. Okay, so we can also run 4 voices out of this. As I mentioned before, I've only got one voice coming out. And there's a whole bunch of other features that you can do with the menu. You can tune, you can set the gate length. So for example, if you want to set the gate length, you would hold that down, and it's for all of these settings here would set the gate length from height, short to long. There's a quantized type where you can set below, ignore, and above. So if the user wants to change the quantized type to the closest note below, or you can set it to ignore or above, you literally just hold down the Q type button, which is this one. And at the moment it's set to 3 is above, 5 is ignore, and 6 is below. So let's change it to ignore and see if that makes any difference. Another thing you could do is you could use like a Turing machine as a voltage source, and that could sort of calm it down. You could use sample and hold and things like that. All right, and another thing that was interesting is I found when you left this thing running with no sequence going through it, it kind of did this little glitchy thing, and I'm not really sure what's going on there. So you can check it out here. So if anyone knows what could be causing that, let me know. I did unplug the CV assign, and it didn't make any difference. All right, that's about it for now. Thanks for watching.